video about ecosystems. And we're not talking about biology, we're talking about something else. So, let's say your video surveillance entire just school. It could be elementary, middle, or high school. Um, that it's a big school. Let's say that it was a simulator of a big school. Now you can't possibly, like, unless you had the ability to freeze time, which is a superpower. You'd have to observe each. Now I'm not discussing. Now when most people think of school, they think like your students get grades, there's dropouts, there's graduation, test scores. There's already a bunch of those type of videos on YouTube, so this is why I'm discussing something different. So it's hard to really describe, because there are plenty of simulator games out there, including school simulators. The only problem with school simulators is that it's just that most of them it's like most of them involve it's just like the problem is unless it's a really small school, typically there are multiple classrooms running around at the same time. A student cannot possibly be in multiple classrooms simultaneously. That doesn't make any sense. Now, obviously COVID from 2020 and 2021, we see that the online classes are very different. However, as COVID is decreasing and people are going back to in-person, we clearly see that there are some differences. Even most teachers can only teach one classroom simultaneously. So now even teachers could, understand. Now, in schools, of course, the idea is, to prevent school shooting, that kind of stuff. However, like, let's say there were surveillance cameras in every classroom, principal is generally not going to observe that way. So, principal could, in theory, make these types of observations, just because, it's just that the problem is principal has a ton of other tasks. Maybe a principal wants to incorporate new AP classes, then there's other things. So, it's quite a bit that the principal does. I'm not gonna list them. So, I could discuss similar trends, such as school to prison pipeline, which is an idea from sociology and politics. The idea is that I'm not discussing that topic, but I'm making a comparison to that idea, which is basically that different. This video is actually more about city planning, and not necessarily the planning aspect. I'm just trying to make a point that different people conjugate in different areas. The only problem is we have to add other variables. There are tons. This is what I learned. There's a difference between an independent variable and a dependent variable. The problem is that when it comes to social skills, there's a billion variables, right? And when it comes to emotions, you have to add another billions of variables. I'm not exaggerating. Okay, maybe it's just a few thousand. But, it's a lot of variables. And I'm trying to approach this idea in terms of in the perspective of the engineer. You know, the type of student that um, understands engineering but tends to struggle in other classes. There's a few of those types of students. They tend to have higher grades in math and science, and have lower grades in English and history, right? And other social sciences or social studies. I'm trying to approach this topic in that perspective. Um, all right, so this video has already been a little too long, so I'm gonna end